We know that the bulk rate went up 30%. It didn't go, it went up like 30%. So if they knew the bulk rate went up 30%, last year it was $4 million, now it's $5.2 million, it's $1.2 million. We've not been billed yet, but we know what the number is. What would the response be then? We still don't have to appropriate? We don't have to disclose it in our financials?
That's a different issue.
Did we?
If
We didn't.
no, because again, in our inquiry through all outside counsel, there was never any response that, see, this was a contract negotiation, not litigation. So the lawyer's responses never included this contract negotiation or any estimated liability. So
Mr. President,
This
but it
makes
was
Russo's
there,
point even
Steve.
more.
yeah,
It's a
Say
budget
that
trick.
again,
the
Counselor.
existence of the liability wasn't going to be negotiated. Maybe the acceptance and not arguing about whether the liability existed was part of the contract negotiation, but whether the liability was factually there or not had nothing to do with the contract negotiation.
again, until yesterday, I did not know what the numbers were. They were never supplied to us. So it's hard to disclose something when you don't have the information.
How do you enter into negotiation without knowing those numbers? Not you, but how does the mayor enter into negotiation?
Again, Councilman, I can't
Yeah.
answer that. I
Yeah, of
can't answer
course.
that question. I can only, again, I was asked to put on paper the conversation as I recalled it from 2.5 years ago during the budget process, which I did. I was asked to bring it with me tonight, which I did, and I'm here to answer to the best of my
So
ability.
No, you're doing a good job.
if that
You're doing a good
conversation,
job.
Thank you.
if that conversation was different and they said, okay, we owe $1.2 million from last year, we have a $1.2 million liability from last year, would you say it's okay, you don't have to disclose it, you don't have to appropriate for it, it doesn't have to be in the audit because you're going to negotiate sometime in the future?
No, listen, I have an obligation as a professional
Yeah.
to disclose what I believe needs to be disclosed if it's material in nature. If I knew about it, if it was quantified year by year, there would at least have been some disclosure in the financials.
Requirement?
Which,
If
yeah.
it was quantified, you're saying generally accepted accounting principles or whatever you felt like you'd had to adhere to, that you would have been under a professional obligation.
Sure, because I don't want to get into the dry nuances of accounting, but each audit engagement, you calculate materiality.
Huh?
And each entity, based on its size, its budget, its revenues, its operations, the number's different. Now, the city's a big budget, 120 some odd $million, big operation, so the materiality here is greater than, say, in Guttenberg, which is a very small municipality. But if the number was greater than materiality, then I have an obligation to disclose that there's a contingent liability in the footnotes.